Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to another explainer. If you're ready to skip the fluff, get straight to the point, and build some actual usable skills, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're demystifying flowchart tracing. We're going to break down exactly how to run a step-by-step simulation of a computer algorithm straight from the source material. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So here's the thought. Can you actually simulate a computer program using literally nothing but a pencil and some paper? I want you to hook into this concept right off the bat. Forget treating flowchart tracing like some dry, repetitive homework assignment. Think of it more like a mental superpower. By the end of this explainer, you're essentially going to become the machine yourself. You'll be translating basic shapes and lines into logical, fully functioning code right inside your own mind. How cool is that?
Here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, decoding flowchart symbols. Number 2, sequences, decisions, and loops. Number 3, tracking variables step by step. 4, avoiding common tracing mistakes. And finally, number 5, acing your exam questions. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Decoding flowchart symbols. Reading the map legend.
All right, so what actually is tracing? Well, the formal definition is that it's a step-by-step simulation of an algorithm where you follow the path carefully, apply each step in order, and record exactly what happens to the data. But the huge takeaway here, tracing is absolutely never about just guessing the answer. No way. It's a highly precise, accurate simulation of execution flow. You have to be meticulous.
Now, let's look at the standard symbols. Think of these as your algorithmic traffic signs. We've got the start and end ovals, which, you guessed it, begin or finish the algorithm. Then there's the process rectangle. This guy carries out instructions, like math or variable assignments. The input-output parallelogram reads data in or displays it out. And the decision diamond? That checks a specific condition and forces you to choose a yes or no path. We also have flow lines showing the direction and connectors to keep everything looking neat and tidy. Look, memorizing these is totally non-negotiable because they literally dictate how you trace your very next step.
So how does this build into our rules of the road? Well, when you're tracing, you really have to adopt a strict rule-following mindset. As our source material outlines, you absolutely must read each symbol correctly. You must follow the arrows exactly as they point, no skipping ahead. You must use the correct branch after a decision, you must record variable changes, and you must note any output produced. If you ignore even one of these rigid steps, well, you're going to get totally lost on the map.
Moving right along to Section 2. Sequences, decisions, and loops. Navigating the paths.
Imagine a super basic sequence with me. Let's say our starting variable, num, starts out at 4. The very next process box tells us to add 3 to num. Boom. It immediately becomes 7. Then, an output box tells us to display it. So our final output is just 7. It's fast, it's energetic. A basic sequence like this just follows one straight, non-branching path from start to finish. Simple, right?
But, as you know, algorithms aren't always straight lines. Let's compare decision paths versus loop paths. Think of a decision as a literal fork in the road. It evaluates a condition, say, is the score 50 or higher, then it takes one branching path, maybe yes for pass, and then it just stops. A loop, on the other hand, is much more like a traffic roundabout. It repeats a path, constantly circling back to test that exact same condition again and again. It only exits the loop when that condition finally becomes false. Now, along these winding paths, you'll probably encounter connectors. These are small, labeled symbols that show exactly where the flow jumps to another part of the diagram, which keeps the layout looking tidy without actually changing any variables. Honestly, I like to think of them as teleportation points. They don't magically alter our underlying data, they just seamlessly direct our flow across these large, complex visual maps.
Okay, Section 3. Tracking variables step by step. Keeping your travel log.
Now, what's really fascinating about a trace table like the one we're looking at is how perfectly it organizes the absolute chaos of a complex program. Let's walk through this example meticulously. In step 1, x is assigned 2. So we write 2 in the x column. Step 2, y becomes x plus 5. Since x is 2, y becomes 7. Step 3 asks for an output of y, so we record 7 right there in the output column. Notice how y itself stays 7. Step 4, x changes to y minus 1, so x updates to 6. And finally, step 5 outputs x, which is 6. You literally just update the data step by step, row by row. It's beautifully logical.
To keep your own trace table perfectly accurate, you've got to follow some strict tracking rules. Rule 1.
Only change a variable when explicitly instructed to by a process. Rule 2. Outputting a value does not change the variable itself. You have to trace completely and literally. Check your conditions carefully, like if A is 5 and B is 10, is B greater than 8? Yes. So output B. Don't jump to conclusions or assume anything. And remember, the initial input values you start with literally dictate your entire journey through the flowchart.
Which brings us to Section 4, avoiding common tracing mistakes, dodging the traps.
Listen, there are 4 major pitfalls on our algorithmic map that you absolutely have to avoid. First off, ignoring the arrow direction and reading things out of order. That's a huge no-no. Second, choosing a decision branch without actually evaluating the condition carefully. Seriously, never just guess yes. Third, forgetting to update a variable right after a process box. And fourth, stopping too early in a loop or completely missing those repeated outputs. Falling into literally any of these traps will completely derail your simulation.
To dodge those traps, I want you to burn this specific quote into your memory. Best strategy, trace slowly, use a table, and check each symbol before moving on. This is the ultimate golden rule of tracing. It perfectly captures the methodical, super careful nature of the skill. Remember, speed is the absolute enemy of accuracy when you are simulating a machine. Take your time.
Section 5. Acing your exam questions, proving your navigation skills.
So the crucial point here is knowing exactly how to demonstrate your flawless logical thinking to an examiner. The strong student approach lays this out step by step. You start at start and follow every single flow line. You check each and every decision using your current updated values. You record variable changes immediately in your table. You write down outputs in the exact order they appear. And you stop only when that end symbol is actually reached. This is exactly how you guarantee your navigation is absolutely flawless on exam day.
And to wrap up the mechanics, this beautifully illustrates our final core concept. Here's a really simple algorithm where a number, n, is doubled. If it's over 10, it outputs large, otherwise it outputs small. Now, if our initial input is 4, it doubles to 8. The condition is no, so the output is small. But what if the input is 6? Well, it doubles to 12. The condition is now yes, and the output is large. The so what here is pretty huge. Different initial inputs actively and completely alter your final outputs.
Which brings us right to the end and to my final question for you. Are you ready to track variables, master the flow of control, and flawlessly simulate an algorithm entirely on your own? You've got the map, you know the legend inside out, and you possess the exact strategies needed to avoid those common traps. It's time to grab a pencil, draw up a trace table, and put your newly acquired logical thinking to the real test. Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me today, and as always, keep learning.